Hello and welcome friends to the Buddha Wisdom channel, where we bring you the knowledge from books in a simple and engaging way. Today, we've brought you the story of a book that has transformed the mindset and lives of millions of people. We are talking about Robert Kiyosaki's bestseller, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book offers you a deep dive into financial understanding, financial education, and the mindset of becoming wealthy. It features the stories of two fathers, one the rich dad and the other the poor dad. The core message of this book is how their differing philosophies, thoughts, and financial decisions impacted their respective economic statuses throughout their lives. In this comprehensive video, we will explain the 6 key lessons, the most crucial principles, and the inspiring stories from Rich Dad Poor Dad in simple English. If you are serious about improving your financial life and achieving financial freedom, this video will serve as an essential guide for you. You will learn how to make money work for you instead of you working solely for money, the critical difference between an asset and a liability and why it matters so much, why financial education is far more vital than the traditional academic syllabus you encountered in school, how wealthy people use their unique way of thinking to become and remain rich. If you find this video helpful and insightful, please make sure to like and share it with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Buddha Wisdom. Our primary goal is to empower you with the wisdom and knowledge that can truly give your life a positive new direction. Now, without any further delay, let's begin this extraordinary journey and discover the powerful lessons that Robert Kiyosaki's seminal book has taught us. So, the story begins with Robert Kiyosaki, the author of this book, having two influential fathers. One was his biological father, who was highly educated and held a PhD, yet he struggled with money throughout his life and passed away poor. Robert refers to him as his poor dad. His other father figure, the father of his best friend Mike, was not highly educated. He hadn't even finished high school, but he was remarkably wealthy and became one of the richest men in Hawaii. Robert calls him his rich dad. At this point, you might wonder how one person could have two fathers at the same time. The explanation is simple. His poor dad, his real father, had one singular dream: that Robert should study diligently, work hard to get excellent grades, secure a job at a big stable company, and ensure his future was safe and secure. However, his rich dad, Mike's father, wanted Robert to pursue a more challenging path. He believed Robert should learn to face life's risks and master the art of making money work for him. This rich dad believed that some of the most profound and essential life lessons are not taught within the walls of a school classroom. Some skills are only acquired through real-life experiences and hands-on exposure to the business world. While traditional schooling can get you good grades and a certification, the school of life teaches you much more valuable practical wisdom. Of course, education and academic learning are important, but relying on them alone won't lead to true financial success. So let's explore exactly what we need to learn and how to go about achieving it. Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money. This might sound counterintuitive or slightly odd, but a simple anecdote will help you grasp the profound meaning behind this statement. There was a man who owned a donkey. Whenever he needed the donkey to work hard and pull a cart, he would hang a carrot right in front of its nose. Seeing the carrot, the donkey would work tirelessly, running forward in the hope of finally reaching and eating that tempting reward. It was a clever strategy for the man to motivate the donkey, but the poor animal never actually reached the carrot. Why? Because the carrot was a mere illusion, a dangling temptation that moved as the donkey moved. Many people behave exactly like that donkey. They toil endlessly, running on the corporate treadmill in the hope that one day they will become rich. But money remains just a distant dream, the carrot they can never reach. The central message here is, instead of chasing money, you must learn to make money chase you. You must make money work for you. When you aspire to be rich, don't just work for the sake of earning a paycheck. On the path to wealth, a powerful combination of fear and greed begins to take over your decision-making process. The fear of being poor or staying poor drives us to work even harder and longer. Then greed kicks in. We start fantasizing about all the beautiful, luxurious things that money can buy. The big house, the fancy car, the expensive vacations. This interplay of fear and greed traps us in a vicious cycle that is often referred to as the rat race. We work harder to earn more, but then our expenses also inevitably increase, keeping us financially stagnant. Rich Dad called this the rat race. The result is that we work excessively hard to earn money only to spend it all, which is essentially a trap. You must learn to avoid this trap of fear and greed. A vast majority of people who desire wealth fall victim to this exact cycle. The solution is clear. Stop chasing money and force money to chase you. If you have a job, don't go to work thinking that you are only there to receive a monthly paycheck. That paycheck is often just enough to cover your bills, making it a recurring monthly struggle. Feeling trapped, you might search for a second job and work even harder. But you are still working for money, which is why you can never truly get rich. Face the truth. Your primary accountability is to yourself, not to anyone else. Ask yourself the tough questions because only you hold the real answers. Are you working only for security, a job from which you won't be fired? Or are you simply working to earn enough money, believing that this alone will make you rich? If your answer is yes, I regret to say your dream of being truly rich will likely remain unfulfilled. You will always struggle financially. However, if your answer is no, your crucial first step is to eliminate fear from your mind. The fear of not earning enough money and the constant greedy desire for more are what compel you to work without proper thought or a real plan. This unchecked behavior is what ultimately leads to failure. It's completely natural to have feelings of fear and desire, but don't let them dominate you to the point where they control your thinking and lead to poor financial decisions. You should always think before you act. Use your mind to make decisions, not just your heart or emotions. Every morning, ask yourself, am I achieving all that I am capable of achieving? Am I utilizing my full potential? Stop thinking like the average person who only works for money. Stop complaining, my boss pays me too little, I deserve more. Always remember, you are the only person responsible for your financial problems, no one else. Don't blame your boss for not raising your salary. When you take responsibility for your own problems, you are the only one who can find the solution. This was the very first and most fundamental principle Rich Dad taught Robert. As an illustration of this principle, Rich Dad had Robert work at a convenience store without any pay. Robert simply kept working, and the benefit was that he remained mentally engaged and open to new ideas on how to make money work for him. One day, he observed the store clerk tearing the front pages of comic books. The clerk kept the half pages and the other half was discarded. Later that evening, a distributor would arrive and take the half pages as credit for new comic books. Robert approached the distributor and asked if he could take the old discarded comic books, promising not to sell them. The distributor agreed. This sparked a new business idea in Robert's mind. He started renting the old comic books to his friends and other neighborhood children for 10 cents per book for a maximum reading time of 2 hours. He wasn't technically selling them. He didn't even have to work at the garage where he rented them out. He hired Mike's sister to manage the small operation, paying her $1 a week. In a single week, Robert and Mike earned $9.50, which was a significant sum back then. This was their first powerful lesson in making money work for them instead of working for money. Lesson 2: the importance of financial literacy. This lesson stresses the importance of knowledge over just making money. In 1923, a historic meeting took place at the Edgewater Beach Hotel in Chicago. Many of the world's most powerful leaders and wealthiest businessmen attended. Among them were Charles Schwab, the head of the largest independent steel company, and Samuel Insull, the president of the largest utility company of the time. Yet, a mere 25 years later, many of these influential figures died in poverty. Some committed suicide, and a few even suffered complete mental breakdowns. The key takeaway is this: people become so consumed with earning money that they completely neglect the essential skill of how to keep it and manage it. No matter how much money you earn, preserving and multiplying that wealth is the real challenge. If you master this skill, you can confidently handle any sudden financial emergency or adverse situation that life throws at you. You might even plan so well that financial bad times never truly hit you. Look at lottery winners. They enjoy their millions for a few years, but many end up right back where they started, or even worse off. Most people ask the wrong questions. How do I get rich? Or what should I do to become rich? These questions often lead to disappointment. The correct answer is, first, you must learn to be financially literate. If you want to build a structure as massive as the Empire State Building, you must first dig a deep hole and lay an incredibly strong foundation. If you're building a small simple house, a shallow 6-inch concrete slab might suffice. The tragedy is that most people try to build an Empire State Building on a 6-inch slab of financial knowledge, and naturally, that structure is destined to collapse. Poor dad wanted Robert to focus on academic studies and good grades, but rich dad wanted him to become financially literate. Most traditional school systems teach you how to build a small house, but not how to lay the deep, strong foundation for an empire. Academic schooling is important, but it is not the entirety of real-life education. Lesson 3. Know the difference between assets and liabilities, and buy assets. This rule might sound incredibly simple, but it is the single most important principle that will make you rich. Crucially, poor and middle-class people often mistake a liability for an asset. Rich people, however, know what assets truly are, and they only buy those. Rich Dad believed in the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. He taught Robert and Mike this very simple yet powerful rule, which allowed them to build a strong financial foundation. Understand the difference between an asset and a liability, and buy assets. If it's so simple, why isn't everyone rich? The simple answer is that it's so simple, most people don't even think about it or question their current understanding. People believe they know the difference between assets and liabilities, but they only have general literacy, not true financial literacy. In simple terms, income statement is essentially a profit and loss statement. Income, money coming in, versus expenses, money going out. Balance sheet balances assets, what you own, and liabilities, what you owe. Many educated accountants don't fully grasp how the balance sheet and income statement are connected. The most fundamental definition is this: an asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. For example, you buy a house and rent it out. The rental income pays off the loan you took to buy the house, and any surplus goes into your pocket. The house is now yours, and it continues to generate income. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. For example, buying a house and living in it yourself. This means you get no rental income, but you still have to pay the mortgage, taxes, utilities, and maintenance. The choice is clear: buy assets to get rich or buy liabilities to stay poor. The rich have more money because they stick to the KISS principle. The poor and middle class fail to understand this, which is why financial literacy is so vital. It's not about the numbers themselves, it's about the financial story they tell about your life. In many families, the hard-working person is the one with the most money. But what good is that money if it's all immediately spent on liabilities? Let's look at how the middle class spends their money. They are often trapped by liabilities like mortgage payments, rent, car loans, credit card bills, and various utility and personal expenses. Their entire salary is consumed by servicing these debts. The poor, on the other hand, often have no major liabilities but also no assets. They earn a small salary, but it is quickly depleted by daily living expenses. A significant portion goes to rent for a small apartment, transportation costs, taxes, food, and clothes. They are often left with nothing and sometimes even have to borrow money, pushing them further into poverty. In stark contrast, the rich buy assets. These assets then generate more income, which in turn can be used to buy more assets, causing their income to double, quadruple, and grow exponentially. Most wealthy people use leverage. They take out loans and immediately put the asset they buy up for rent. The monthly rental income covers the loan repayment, and any extra money goes straight into their pocket without them having to put in extra labor. This is the core difference between rich dad and poor dad, their mindset about how to spend money. In the late 1960s, children were asked what they wanted to be when they grew up. And the common answer was to get good grades to become a doctor or an engineer. They believed good grades guaranteed wealth. While many of those children did become successful professionals, many still struggle financially because they wrongly assumed that more money would solve all their problems. That is simply not the case in the modern economy. Now, many children want to become professional athletes, CEOs, movie stars or rock stars because they understand that simply getting good grades won't guarantee a successful career or financial freedom. Financial nightmare is a common reality today. Young, newly married couples often assume their income will double and they dream of buying a bigger house. They start saving, focusing entirely on their career, and as their income increases, their expenses naturally rise as well. This is the tragic flaw. When you earn money without financial literacy and you spend without thinking, you end up spending even more than before. This cycle continues. The couple eventually earns enough to buy a bigger house, thinking they are now richer. But the reality is that they have just taken on a new massive liability. The bigger house comes with a larger mortgage, higher property taxes, new furniture, and a new car to match the house. Their liabilities keep increasing. This is the typical situation. As income increases, expenses do too. One day, the truth hits them. They are completely trapped in the rat race. This is why people approach Robert and ask, "How do I get rich?" The question itself is the problem, because they believe money is the cure-all solution. This is a huge mistake. Their problem isn't a lack of income, it's a lack of knowledge on how to manage what they already have. There is a saying that applies here. When you find yourself in a deep hole, stop digging. Most people fear public speaking because they fear rejection and the fear of being different, the fear of what others will think or that they will be laughed at. This fear drives people to simply follow the crowd, doing what everyone else is doing. They become content being part of the herd. They hear, "Your house is your biggest asset. Take out a loan. You got a promotion. Your salary went up. Go buy a bigger house." They follow this path, believing that what everyone else is doing must be right. Rich Dad's philosophy. The Japanese people understood the power of three things: the sword, power of physical strength, the jewel, power of money, and the mirror, power of the self. The mirror represents the power hidden within you, and that is your greatest strength. When you can look in the mirror and honestly ask yourself, "Am I right, or should I just follow the herd?" the answer you receive is your true power. The poor and middle class allow themselves to become slaves to money, which is why they never become rich. Robert and Mike attended every meeting Rich Dad had with his accountants, managers, investors, and employees. They saw an uneducated man, Rich Dad, left school at 13, giving orders and advice to highly educated people who worked for him. This was a man who dared to be different, took risks, and didn't care what others thought of him. These meetings made the two boys lose interest in their school curriculum. Whenever a teacher gave them an assignment, they had to follow the rules precisely, which made them realize that traditional schooling often stifles creativity and molds children into mere cogs in a machine. They disagreed with the idea that good grades alone lead to success and wealth. One day, Robert argued with his poor dad, who believed his house was his best investment. Robert tried to explain that his father was stuck in the rat race, where his income and expenses were balanced with no room for financial growth. He desperately tried to make his father understand that his house was a liability, not an asset, as it continuously took money out of his pocket without generating any income. His poor dad simply could not grasp this concept. This was the fundamental gap between the two men. Robert explained that most people spend their entire lives paying off a 30-year mortgage only to buy an even bigger house and renew their loan. The value of the house may or may not increase. Some people take out loans that exceed the value of the house, burying themselves in debt. The biggest consequence is that they are unable to invest elsewhere because all their money is tied up in the house. They never get the chance to invest or learn about investing. If people would just focus on acquiring assets, their future would be much brighter. For instance, Robert's wife's parents moved into a big house thinking it was a wise investment. They were shocked to find that the property tax was $1,000, a significant sum. Being retired, this huge tax bill severely strained their retirement budget. The advice is not to avoid buying a new home, but rather to invest the money you would use for a big house into an asset first. That asset will generate income for you, and in a short time, you will have enough money to buy your dream house without needing a loan. So, why do the rich keep getting richer while the middle class stagnates? The reason is simple. The rich buy assets that double their money, covering all their expenses with ease. The middle class simply waits for the first of the month for their salary, which is immediately spent on liabilities. Where is the investment? And when their salary increases, their taxes increase, and so do their other expenses. The rat race continues endlessly. We live in a debt-ridden society, and viewing one's home as an asset is the very reason we are burdened by debt. The prevailing thought is, if my salary increases, I can afford a bigger house, which they believe is the smart use of their money. Instead, if that money were invested correctly, their lives could be transformed forever. But this doesn't happen because they spend all their time working hard, securing their job, and are too afraid to quit due to the crushing debt they carry. Ask yourself, if you quit your job today, how long could you survive? If you are not financially literate, have relied solely on a salary your whole life, and have accumulated liabilities instead of assets, your life will be a constant, hard challenge. Net worth tells you how much money you really have, even if it's an old, worthless car in your garage. Wealth, however, means how much money your money is earning for you. For example, if your assets generate $3,000 a month, but your expenses are $6,000, you can only survive for half a month. The solution is to increase the income from your assets. When your assets start generating $6,000, you won't become rich overnight, but you will become wealthy. You can only become wealthy when your expenses are less than the growth of your assets. Lesson 4. Mind your own business. This lesson is about distinguishing your profession from your business. Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, gave a brilliant speech to an MBA class in 1974. After his inspiring speech, students asked to spend some time with him, so they went out for a beer. Ray suddenly asked, "Do you know what business I'm in?" Everyone immediately knew he sold hamburgers. Ray laughed and said, "My real business is real estate." McDonald's strategically selects prime locations for its franchises, and the land itself is also sold to the franchisee. The franchisee is required to purchase the land, making McDonald's a massive real estate business. This is the key lesson Rich Dad taught Robert. People often work for everyone else but themselves. They work for the government by paying taxes, for the company where they are employed, and for the bank by paying their mortgage. This happens because our education system is designed to create employees, not employers. You become what you study, a scientist, an engineer, etc. The problem is that students get stuck in the difference between a job and a business. When asked about your business, you shouldn't say, I am a doctor or I am a banker, because that is your profession, not your business. The point is this: whatever you do for a living, turn it into your business, not just a job. Don't spend your entire life making others rich. Work towards making your own life prosperous. Many people realize too late that their house loan is crushing them and that the house they mistook for an asset was actually a liability. Expenses like car payments become liabilities. That is why we must focus on the asset column more than the income column. This is the main difference between being financially literate and not. What kind of assets should you buy? Here are a few examples. 1. A business that doesn't require your physical presence. If you spend too much time there, it becomes a job, not a business. 2. Real estate that generates income. 3. Stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. When buying assets, invest in things you are genuinely interested in. If you have an interest, you will pay closer attention and understand it better. Robert was interested in real estate and stocks, especially small-cap companies. Following Rich Dad's advice, Robert never quit his day job. He worked his job while simultaneously building and strengthening his asset column. Do not let a single penny you earn go to waste. Treat your money as a slave that must work for you. You can buy luxury items, there is no harm in that, but never forget the difference in mindset. The middle class spends on luxury the moment money arrives, while the rich buy luxury last, only after their assets have covered the cost. Understanding this, the next lesson reveals the rich people's greatest secret. Lesson 5. The rich invent money. In 1984, after inventing the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell patented it. His business grew and it became difficult to manage. He offered to sell his patent and small company to Western Union for $100,000, a huge sum at the time. The president of Western Union rejected the offer, thinking the price was too high. The result was the birth of the massive AT&T Corporation. Robert Kiyosaki has been teaching professionally since 1984, and one thing he learned after teaching thousands of people is that everyone has the potential for greatness. What holds us back is self-doubt. After leaving school, we realize that grades alone aren't enough to succeed in life. Only those who are bold and courageous move forward. Financial genius requires knowledge, but it also requires courage and boldness. Most people refuse to take any financial risk, but to get rich, you must take calculated risks. In the coming years, a new Bill Gates will be born or a new Alexander Bell, while many others might go bankrupt and become poor. The choice is yours. If you increase your financial IQ, you can achieve great things. If you don't, the future could be frightening, because as old systems go, new ones emerge. The present time is the most opportune time. People today are struggling financially because their mindset is stuck in the past. They blame their bosses or new technology instead of acknowledging their own fault. What was an asset yesterday might be a liability today, so you need to constantly update your knowledge. Robert designed a board game called Cash Flow to teach people how money works, the path to wealth, and how to get out of the rat race. One day, a woman played the game and won a boat card. She was thrilled until she learned she had to pay a significant amount of tax for the boat. Her joy vanished because the boat had become a liability, not an asset, and she realized it would destroy her finances. She was frustrated and asked for a refund, which she received. Later, she called and said she finally understood the game's core idea. She could connect it to her own life. Her anger was justified because she couldn't understand how money worked. We often do the same. We get angry at things we don't understand and blame them for all our life's problems. It's much better to try to understand them. That's how you win the game of life. Some people win a lot of money in the cash flow game, but don't know what to do with it. They get nervous and ultimately lose all the money they won. Their old poor-minded thinking holds them back. Some complain they lost because they didn't get the right cards. Many people sit in life waiting for the right opportunity. Some get the opportunity but don't take advantage of it, claiming they didn't have the money. Some get both the money and the opportunity but still achieve nothing because they don't recognize the opportunity when they see it. Financial intelligence means being creative with money. What would you do if you got an opportunity but had no money? What would you do if you had money but no opportunity? It all depends on your financial intelligence. Most people only know one solution: work hard and earn a lot of money. But you need to learn how to create your own opportunities instead of waiting for them. The most important secret of the rich is that they know money is not the real thing. The real thing is knowing how money works and recognizing that we can create what we need from our own minds. Your mind is your biggest asset. It can make you super rich or super poor, depending on how you use it. To walk with the successful, you must cultivate the desire to grow your money. You need to invest in your most powerful asset, your mind. You must become financially intelligent. Let's look at an example from the 1990s in Arizona and Phoenix, which were facing an economic downturn. People were advised to save $100 every month for a rainy day. While saving money is wise, money sitting idle loses value. It's better to invest a portion of it. During this economic distress, people were selling their properties at rock-bottom prices, which was a great opportunity for investors. Many investors bought properties immediately. Robert bought a house valued at $75,000 for only $20,000. He then placed an advertisement in the attorney's office. Get a $75,000 house for only $60,000. Customers rushed to buy it. Robert's phone kept ringing non-stop because the money he was earning was coming from the asset he created in the form of a primary note from the customer. It only took him 5 hours to earn $40,000. This money was created from his asset column and it was added to his income column without incurring taxes, as he took advantage of a sudden opportunity. In just a few years, the income from his business covered his car, gas, insurance, client dinners, and travel expenses. By the time the government could tax those expenses, most of them had already been spent as pre-tax expenses. A few years later, the house that sold for $60,000 was now valued at $110,000. He still had a few more opportunities, but they were too small to justify the time and valuable asset required, so he moved on to look for new opportunities. Ask yourself, working hard is exhausting. You pay a 40% tax and the remainder you save gives you a 5% interest on which you pay more tax. It's much better to invest your money and time in your most powerful asset, your mind, and become financially intelligent. The world is constantly changing. There will be booms and busts, and technology will continue to advance. The stock market is volatile, changing daily. But if you are financially intelligent, you won't be affected because you will be prepared for all situations. You will have countless opportunities in life to leverage your financial intelligence. You just need to be ready to seize those opportunities. We typically see two types of investors. One, those who buy package investments, which is easy and hassle-free. Two, those who create their own investments. You could call them professionals. They make several times more money than they invest. If you want to be the second type of investor, you need to master 3 specific skills. 1. Find opportunities that others miss. Remember, your mind can see what others' eyes cannot. 2. Raise capital. When money is needed, the middle class goes to the bank. The second type of investor raises capital and creates money. They don't always need the bank. 3. Organize smart people. Intelligent people work with those who are smarter than them. Therefore, choose your investment advisors wisely. I know this might sound overwhelming, but the rewards are magnificent. Life is full of risks, but you can only become rich by learning how to handle those risks. Lesson 6. Work to learn, don't work for money. A journalist once interviewed Robert. He was impressed by her writing style, as he had read her articles before. After the interview, the journalist mentioned that she wanted to become a famous writer like him. Robert asked her what was stopping her. She replied that her job was not progressing. Robert suggested she join a sales class. The journalist said a friend had already offered her the same, but she felt it was beneath her dignity. She forgot that Robert himself had previously gone to sales school. The point is this: if you have a talent and want to earn money from it, talent alone is not enough. Your talent is useless until you learn how to monetize it, how to sell it to people. There is no shame in learning the art of sales or marketing. The biggest difference between Rich Dad and Poor Dad was that Poor Dad always worried about job security. A safe job was everything to him. Rich Dad, however, always emphasized learning and acquiring new skills. To become rich, you must learn a lot. The other perspective is that school rewards us for specializing in one thing. For example, a doctor specializes in a particular field and that is their reward. To learn a lot, you need to work for different companies, understand how different things work in the real world, and gain varied experience. This is why Rich Dad took young Robert and Mike to meetings with his doctors, accountants, lawyers, and other professionals. When Robert quit his high-paying job to join the Marine Corps, his poor dad couldn't understand why he would leave such a fantastic job. He was strongly disappointed. Robert tried to explain why it was necessary. He wanted to learn how to fly in the open sky, how to manage a team of workers, and how difficult it is to run a company solely on one's own merit. After returning from Vietnam, Robert resigned and joined Xerox Corp. He didn't join for the money. He was extremely shy, and the thought of selling anything made him sweat. To overcome this weakness, he took the Xerox sales training program. After this experience, Robert started his own company and sent his first shipment. If he had failed, he would have gone bankrupt, but he took the risk, remembering Rich Dad's advice. You can take the risk of going bankrupt before the age of 30 because you still have a chance to recover. Most employers pay their workers just enough to prevent them from quitting, and most workers work just hard enough to avoid being fired. They only care about their salary and the benefits the company offers. This mindset works well for a few years, but it is not sustainable in the long run. The final piece of advice is: learn everything you want to learn now before you choose a specific profession. Once you choose a profession, you will be bound to it forever. And with that, friends, this summary comes to an end. Thank you for tuning in to Buddha Wisdom.